I spent 6 years as an active duty officer in the United States Army because I want to serve my country. Then, I hung up my uniform. Why? Honestly, selfish reasons. I loved my time in the Army, but I also wanted to make more money. So I did what a lot of ambitious, money-hungry people do. I got an MBA from a fancy school, convinced myself that a prestigious degree plus a high-paying job with an impressive title would set me up for life. I'll be on the path to riches. Done deal. However, here's what my naive self didn't realize back then. Making a high income is not nearly as rosy as it is made out to be. Now, don't get me wrong. Making more money is definitely better than making less. I remember my first paycheck as a second lieutenant in the Army. Thus, anything above that number felt like a win. Because more money meant more options, more security, more freedom. But here's the thing I learned the hard way. Making significantly more money comes with its own set of problems. Problems that most high earners never see coming. Problems that keep you stuck, earning well, but never actually getting ahead. And that is what I want to cover today. The key reasons why so many high earners struggle to get ahead, no matter how much they earn. But first, just in case we haven't met, my name is Tay from Financial Tortoise, where we learn to grow our wealth slow and steady. The number one reason why so many high earners struggle to get ahead. The education tax. And this one is a very personal one for me. After I left the Army, I had an opportunity to attend UCLA for my MBA. However, I didn't have much money. So what do most students without money do? They take on student debt. And in my case, close to 6 figures worth of student debt. And I remember thinking naively, of course, no biggie. Once I land my high-paying job after school, I'll just magically pay it off. Problem solved. But what a problem it was. I learned it brutally hard the moment the student loan payment notices started arriving in the mail. My big paycheck, it suddenly didn't feel that big anymore after all the expenses plus the student loan payment. Additionally, with the interest compounding, I realized I wasn't just paying back what I borrowed. I was paying back what I borrowed plus thousands in interest. To say I felt completely helpless and dejected is an understatement. So my wife and I, after we attended a Dave Ramsey conference, decided to go gazelle intense. We knew that if we wanted to build true wealth, this was a burden we had to get rid of as soon as possible. So for several years, we essentially lived like we had no money. We counted every penny and tackled that $105,000 of student debt like our life depended on it. And thankfully, we were able to pay it off in 3.5 years. And we consider ourselves lucky. Our debt, though it was 6 figures, was manageable with both our strong income. I've seen some other fields where this figure is multiple times what we had. Doctors graduate with $200,000, $300,000, sometimes $400,000 in debt. Lawyers, same story. Engineers with specialized degrees, pharmacists, dentists. You pick a high-income profession, and you'll often find someone starting their career not with a blank slate, but with a ball and chain called student loan. And what is worse is that this ball and chain doesn't just hang out for a few years. No, it sticks around for decades if you don't vigorously attack it. I know of too many high-income professionals, doctors, lawyers, corporate executives, well into their 40s and 50s, still paying off their student debt they acquired decades ago because they've only paid the minimum. Don't let this be you. Because the brutal truth is that for every year you keep this ball and chain around, the more years compound interest is working against you, not for you. It will be painful, but if you find yourself in this position and you're serious about building wealth, you have to get a hold of that ball and chain and cut it off as soon as possible. Let me share with you a few actionable steps based on my personal experience. 1. Recognize that this is a problem. It is easy for many high earners to just see their paycheck and say, I'm doing fine. All is good. But if you still have a student loan balance from a decade ago, it is not fine. Every day, it is eroding your ability to move forward. 2. List out everything you owe on a simple spreadsheet. Type of loan, balance owed, and interest rate. This will give you a holistic picture of the problem. We can't solve the problem until we clearly understand it. Then 3. Either using the debt snowball method or the debt avalanche method, tackle it like your life depends on it. This will be the hardest step of all, but recognize that once you're able to unburden yourself of this education tax, you can truly start leveraging your high income towards supercharging your path to wealth. The number 2 reason why so many high earners struggle to get ahead, the geography trap. Here's another reality with many high income jobs. It is not spread evenly across the country. Many cluster. Silicon Valley for tech, New York for finance, Los Angeles for media, Boston for biotech. And why is this? It is because many of these places are where the money is, or the opportunities are. But what makes these locations challenging, especially for individuals and families that want to build wealth, is that they're expensive, and some really expensive at that. And I can personally attest to this, having lived and worked in Southern California for over 10 plus years. A typical home in Los Angeles costs around $800,000 to $900,000. In a nicer neighborhood, you're looking at homes within the $1 million to $2 million range. And we're not talking about a mansion here. No, this is just a simple, regular home. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and a backyard if you're lucky. And that's just the housing. In many of these high cost of living areas, everything else costs more as well. Groceries, gas, insurance, you name it, most of them have a premium. And when you have a family, it gets even worse. Childcare in many of these cities can cost more than most families' mortgage payments. And again, I know this pain personally because both my kids attended private daycare and preschools for many years while my wife and I were knee-deep in our day jobs. In essence, the trap is this. You make more money, but you're forced to spend more because of where you live. You earn $300,000 in San Francisco, but your cost of living effectively neutralizes $100,000 or more of that income because of built-in geography trap. And thus, you struggle to get ahead. You feel you're just running faster on the same treadmill. So if you find yourself in this position, what can you do? Is there a way out, or are you doomed to a hopeless cycle of earning more but building nothing? And if you watch any of my other videos, you know I never like to wrap up a point with doom and gloom. I'm a firm believer that whatever situation we find ourselves in, glass is always half full, and we all have the ability to change our lot. So in that spirit, let me share with you a few options you can consider if you find yourself in this position. Option 1, get ruthless about trade-offs. If you're living in a high cost of living area, everything being expensive is a fact. You cannot change that. However, you can be intentional about your trade-offs. You can still create a variance between what you bring in and what you spend if you have a strategy. You might need to spend a bit more on a home, but maybe you're okay driving a beater. You might need to spend a lot on childcare, but maybe you're okay cooking at home most of the time. Option 2, reframe your timeline. You might choose to only live in that expensive city for a specific time frame. Maybe you stay for 5 years while you're in your peak earning years, build your network, and establish yourself in your field. But once you've extracted the main benefits, you could consider moving to a cheaper cost of living area afterwards, which leads to the next option. Option 3, be willing to take a lower pay for a lower cost of living area. If your job exists in a lower cost of living area, or if your company allows remote working arrangement, even if it pays lower than LA or New York, consider moving. Because at the end of the day, what matters is not how much you make, rather how much you keep. Bottom line, the geography trap only has power if you stay trapped. If you're willing to be unconventional, to think outside the box, you can still leverage it towards your favor. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, Tay, this all makes sense, but how do I actually figure out what's right for my specific situation? And if you are my friend, you're asking exactly the right question. Because here's the thing, while these strategies do work, everyone's situation is different. Your income, your debt load, your location, your timeline, they all matter when you're building your personal long-term wealth strategy. And it's hard to account for all those personal moving pieces through a 15-minute YouTube video, no matter how good it is. Thus, that is exactly why I created the Financial Tortoise community, to help you navigate these very challenging and very personal questions. How should you prioritize your money? Pay off debt or invest more? And when it comes to investing, how should you structure it to minimize taxes? And how do you keep your portfolio simple when the financial industry is constantly trying to sell you complexity? Inside the community, through one-on-one coaching sessions, we get to work through these exact challenges. Not generic advice, not what ChatGPT tells us, but what's actually relevant to your specific situation. You also have access to monthly live Q&A calls, where we dive deep into topics like tax strategy and account prioritization. Member-exclusive courses designed for driven professionals who want to simplify their investments. Tools like Monarch Money to help you systematize your finances. And a private forum of other professionals navigating these exact same decisions. So consider joining the Financial Tortoise community if you're serious about taking your finances to the next level. However, to ensure that every member receives the personalized support they deserve, we only open enrollment a few times a year. So if you want to be the first to know when doors open again, join the waitlist at financialtortoise.com/community. I'll have the link in the description below. Hundreds of members have completely transformed their financial lives by taking greater control over their finances, and with a clear plan and the right support, you can too. You deserve it. I would love to see you inside. Alright, with that said, let's get back to the video. The number 3 reason why so many high earners struggle to get ahead. The peer pressure ecosystem. You heard of the old saying, birds of a feather flock together. Prior to attending business school, all my close friends were from the military. That was all I knew. Thus, my social circle centered primarily around my unit and my army peers, talking about our next assignment, our unit, and of course, complaining about our commander. However, when I went to business school, my social circle completely changed, and with it, the topic of discussion completely changed as well. Because most of my new peers were former management consultants, investment bankers, corporate professionals, Essentially, people who are intentionally focused on making more are talks centered around money all the time. How much money I want to make. What new business idea I have that will make me millions. And of course, what I want to buy with what I make. And I, naturally, because I was spending so much time with my business school buddies, started to think the same way. That is a peer pressure ecosystem, and it is very common with high-income earners. Your colleague just bought a Tesla. Your friend closes on a $2 million house. Your former classmate is taking their family to South Africa for spring break. But this does not shock the people within your social circle. Rather, everyone nods like that's just what you do when you're making good money. Thus, when everyone in the flock is spending aggressively, it becomes normal. It becomes the baseline. But that is the danger, and one of the key reasons high earners, professionals making excellent money, stay stuck. Why they struggle to get ahead. Because the truth is that for most people, regardless of how much money they make, if they spend aggressively, they are or will eventually become broke. And I saw this constantly with my business school buddies and work colleagues. Often ironically, those making the most were actually the ones struggling the most to get ahead. So what to do if you feel like you're stuck in this ecosystem? Let's talk about action steps. First, be honest about what's actually necessary versus what's just keeping up with your peers. Do you really need that $100,000 car? How about that exclusive country club membership? Or the fancy vacation every break because all your peers are going on one? Recognize these are choices, not requirements. And two, this is the hardest one, but be willing to stand out. Be the person in your peer group who drives the paid-off Camry while everyone else is financing their BMWs. Be the one who doesn't upgrade their kitchen every other year with a new marble countertop. Be the one who doesn't constantly have the exotic vacation Instagram photos. And if you're used to hanging around people who follow this behavior, this will feel uncomfortable. But that discomfort is the price of building actual wealth. Bottom line, the peer pressure ecosystem only has power if you stay in it. If you're willing to look less successful on the surface so you can actually become successful beneath the surface, you can escape it. The number 4 and the final reason why so many high earners struggle to get ahead: financial complexity. And in my perspective, unnecessary financial complexity. When you start making real money, the financial industry descends. Financial advisors, investment managers, insurance brokers, they all arrive with the same message. You are a busy professional and finances are too complex to handle yourself. Let us help you. Let us give you that professional service required to build wealth. And you believe them. Why? Because you're busy. You're running a team. You're building out your practice. I mean, who has the time to learn about investment strategies and asset allocation? You have to delegate this, right? So you do. You hire a financial advisor and pay them 1% of your assets under management. You pick up whole life insurance because the agent convinces you that it's a wealth building tool. You set up multiple investment accounts because they keep telling you more funds, more accounts is a way to build real wealth. And soon, your finances become this complicated web that you don't even know what's happening anymore. Your money is spread across so many accounts with so many advisors paying so many fees that you have no real visibility. You don't know if you're actually ahead or just slowly bleeding wealth through fees you don't fully understand. But the numbers tell you the truth. The average high net worth individual, those with 1 million plus in investable assets, pay approximately 1.2% annually in advisory fees. For someone with $2 million in assets, that's $24,000 a year in just advisor fees. And in insurance commissions, often 5 to 10% of premiums for whole life policies. This is real money disappearing into the financial services ecosystem. But it gets worse. The average investor pays an additional 0.5 to 1% in hidden fees they don't even realize they're paying. So that $2 million portfolio, it's actually costing you $40,000 to $50,000 annually in combined fees. Over 30 years, that's $1.2 to $1.4 million in wealth that never gets built. And this assumes that your investments even beat the market, which most professionally managed portfolios do not. Studies consistently show that 80 to 90% of actively managed funds underperform their index benchmark over a 15 plus year period. So you're paying all these fees for worse returns than you get from a simple index fund that costs 0.03%. As you can see, complexity creates unnecessary fee structure, and that fee structure destroys your wealth. The truth is that the best financial strategies are super simple. Buy a few good low-cost index funds and hold them for as long as possible. That is it. But of course, your financial advisor will not tell you this, because the financial industry doesn't make money off of simplicity. They make money off complexity. They make money off confusion. They make money off you thinking you need them. So if you find yourself knee-deep in this financial complexity, here are the next few steps. First, audit your current situation. List every account that you have, every advisor you pay, every fee you're actually being charged. Calculate it. Then try to control your anger, because as soon as you see how much you've been paying, trust me, you'll be pissed. Second, build a simple investment strategy you can actually understand. Not one so complicated you need a team of experts to explain it. One that you can understand and execute yourself. A hint here. A simple, one index fund portfolio that tracks the whole market should work for most people. Then 3, make the transition. This will require the most work. Consolidate redundant accounts, fire advisors who don't add clear value, and eliminate products you don't understand. Every account you close is one less place for fees to hide. The financial industry wants you to believe that wealth management requires complexity. But I say you don't need complexity. They actually do more harm than good. So get clarity, take control, and simplify. If you're a smart professional that is making good income, you're more than capable of managing your own money. Thank you guys for watching the theme of simplicity. If you want to learn how to truly simplify investing, please check out my video here. Until next time, all the best.